More than 110 people dead after an Indonesian military plane crashes in Sumatra. The plane crashed into a hotel just after takeoff. Plus, Greeks prepare for possible default. The deadline for repaying its loan to the IMF is today. Banks remain closed throughout the country. Greeks have limited access to cash. And finally, Chile reaches the finals of the Copa America. And Chile reached the finals for the first time in 28 years. The host beat Peru in a heated and tight match. The final score, 2-1. We begin this morning in Argentina. Good morning, everyone. I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas, Venezuela. Argentinians will not only choose a new president in October, but they will also choose the country's representative to the Parliament of the Southern Common Market, Mercosur. Now, to explain the significance of that position, here's our correspondent in Buenos Aires, Laureano Ponce.
Together with the presidential elections scheduled for October 25, Argentina will choose its member for the Parlasur, the legislative body of the common market formed by Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Venezuela, known as Mercosur. While previously the Argentine members of the body were elected from and by sitting members of the parliament, a new law from last December changed that so that Parlasur representatives will be elected by a countrywide election.
I believe that changing from choosing representatives from each parliament to directly voting Parlasur members is a significant step forward, because as a political sign, it shows the commitment of the country to regional integration.
The voters will choose 19 members for the country as a national district, plus one member for each of its provinces and one for Buenos Aires City, making a total of 43 Argentine representatives.
As a result of this upcoming election, these members of the Mercosur Parliament will have to work day after day to strengthen this regional integration process.
In 1991, Mercosur was born merely as a free trade agreement. However, in the current context of increasing Latin American unity, the Parlasur is expected to address much more than commercial affairs.
I think that this parliamentary group, which is diverse, plural, where each country is represented by different sectors, can play a major role in strongly promoting integration.
These representatives will begin to debate and configure the path for South America, and in that configuration process, we will also get to know the different integration projects that have been present in our Latin American and Caribbean history since the nation-states were born, which is the difference between people's integration or business integration.
Main candidates agree that the election of Parlasur members by a national vote helps to bring the concept of regional unity closer to the daily reality of the Argentine people. Laureano Ponce, Telesur, Buenos Aires.
We go to Mexico now. That's where the independent Inter-American Commission team on Human Rights continues its investigation into the case of the 43 missing students from Ayotzinapa. Clayton Kahn reports now on the findings of the group's fourth report.
With more than 9 months since the attack and forced disappearance of the 43 Ayotzinapa students and no definitive conclusion to the case, the opinions in the streets of the Mexican capital are tinged with doubt that truth and justice will be served.
Once again, it is evident, like the saying, nothing seen, nothing to fear. And so if the government is denying, there is a reason.
As time keeps passing, many more months will pass before we are able to have a definitive response by the government.
In their fourth report, the independent investigative team analyzing the case expressed its concern that the authorities have only attended to 53% of their requests, and that at least 40 of the more than 100 detained gave their declarations under apparently questionable circumstances.
When they gave their first testimony, they informed that they suffered some type of maltreatment or they suffered torture, and all of these cases are concentrated, from what I understand, and are being investigated by the Attorney General.
Meanwhile, analysts expressed their concern that the state continues to turn a deaf ear to petitions to investigate the role of the military in the tragic events of September 26th and 27th.
The area around Iguala and Guerrero is dominated by the army. If anyone knows what happens there, if a bee flies by, they know it happened. They have all the information, but now they say they don't know what happened, that they were not aware, that they did not go out.
Allá están los militares y los policías. Trabajan de manera conjunta con la delincuencia.
The demand to interrogate at least 36 soldiers at the Iguala military base has been expressed for months by the families of the missing youth. Meanwhile, with 3 months since the petition was formally made by the independent investigators, the Attorney General's office has only responded that they are, quote, evaluating the request. Clayton Cantalasur, Mexico City.
Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff is in New York to meet with business executives. Rousseff has held several private meetings with U.S. business leaders. Now she is touting investment opportunities in Brazilian infrastructure projects as she hopes to strengthen the country's economic opportunities. After meeting with business leaders, the president sought backing for a $63 billion infrastructure project that includes large investments in the country's ports and airports. She says the infrastructure projects will strengthen Brazil's economy. Around the world, Greeks begin preparation for default in the country. The deadline for repaying a loan to the IMF is set for Tuesday night.
The head of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, made a last-minute offer on Monday to persuade Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras to accept a bailout. Juncker also dangled the prospect of a negotiation on debt rescheduling later this year if Athens said yes in the referendum they're holding next Sunday. Demonstrators took to the street to say no to this offer, accusing Greece's international creditors of blackmail. Meanwhile, banks remain closed. Although some branches will open Wednesday for pensioners, they will be able to withdraw up to €120.